Okay, here we are, all set up for a brand new 2020 Philadelphia machine wrapped roll. Same rolls that you get out of the bank. We have a couple of 2020 double dies reported so far, and I just want to see if we can add to the list by looking through a roll. This was a very inexpensive roll. It is a fun roll, and I'm ready to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start prying this one open. Given that this is one of the newer Batdorf machine wrapped rolls, they are a little more difficult to open than some of the other older rolls are. Just a little bit. Once you get them started, they come apart pretty easily. Almost as an ingenious idea to crimp the paper inward onto the coins to put pressure on them and keep the roll together with no glue, tape, or anything else. That's just, it was an invention of need, and man, it sure did us a lot of good. Thank you, Mr. Batdorf, for your invention. Mr. Charles Batdorf patented this idea in 1915 and had actually designed the machine on which these wrappers would wrap coins. And it's why these are called Batdorf wrappers. Batdorfs are known for their V-cut in the paper. Other wrappers, such as this one right here, it's just a slant cut all the way around the paper. There's no V in the paper. Alright, let's see what this Batdorf roll of 2020 coins provides for us. Your cost in this roll is actually much more related to the flip inserts, the cuts, the flips, the supplies it takes to get this stuff to you than it is to the actual value or cost of the coin itself. These rolls generally sell for $1 to $2 a roll, and the rest of the cost is in these flips. I mean, these flips are nearly a dime a piece now, and you take the inserts, you print the inserts, get the inserts cut. I had the backs of the inserts professionally printed. I had them professionally cut. The nameplates in here, I make those on my printer. The time, the effort, and everything else that it takes to get into these is what costs the money. So here we go for coin number 1. That's what, if anybody wonders, why am I charging $1 a coin for brand new coins? That's why. $1 a coin's the cheapest I can do these for. First coin goes to Mr. Marshall. And Mr. Marshall will pick up. We need to take our balance down quite a bit on this because, well, obviously, this is a new roll, and new rolls are a lot brighter, typically, than the older stuff. We'll try it at that and see how that works. And what we're looking for, basically, is stretching an extra thickness in any of the digits, especially the RTY of Liberty and in the date. And then on the reverse, generally the place that we're going to start looking is in the serifs around the edge lettering. These serifs are normal serifs. They're kind of rounded but kind of pointed. If you see something that's a double die, it's going to be very thick. And the LB and JFM initials on the reverse, that's generally where you're going to see stretching an extra thickness on a double die. This one is not a double die, so that's coin number 1, in and out. And here we go for coin number 2. Coin number 2, John Brandon Bow. Let's see what we have here. We may or may not find anything of any value, but if we do find something, it's likely to be a new discovery. That's what makes it exciting to do. As long as I'm seeing everything looking normal, I'm just going to keep moving. I'm not going to stop. Oh, there's the circle of death. This must have been coin number 1 when I opened it. They flipped over a little bit. So this one turned into coin number 2. My apologies. My mistake. But that right there is what happens to the coins. That scrape right there is what happens to the coins. As the roll is turning, basically what happens in the machine, I'm going to show you down here. The roll the roll actually turns around like this while the paper is wrapping onto the roll. And what they've got is this machine is holding on to the end coins while the paper is being wrapped around the roll. And if it's adjusted too tightly, what it's going to do is it's going to scratch a ring into the coin. And that's exactly what happened here. You can see that ring's been scratched into the coin. Circular scratches. And it actually scratched all the way through the copper plating and into the zinc, which is why the center of the scratches are silver. But that only happens on the coins that are on the end of the roll. Sometimes much more obvious than other times. Now for coin number 3, Yo Man. Let's see what Yo Man got. We could possibly actually run into some very, very clean looking coins in this roll, which would be higher grade coins. It isn't highly likely, but it is possible for us to run into some really high grade coins. Okay, nothing there. Generally 66 is about as high as you're going to get out of a lot of these newer shield coins. They left a lot of the planchet wash on them and did not dry it off properly, creating milk spots on the coin. That's a very common thing for the shields. Not exactly sure why, but it is. Just like that right there. That's very common on shield on the shield Lincoln Cents. You can see there's a lot of little milk spots on this coin. That's very normal. Also, this is a later die state example. You can see that with all of the deterioration and erosion around the outside edge of the design. It's just very normal. That's number 4. Let's take a look at number 5. Number 5 goes to Thomas Thomas. And what do we have for Thomas? This one. Kind of got to turn this around a little bit just to see all the details the right way. Okay, this one's not a double die. I was kind of wondering for a while. Even though the zeros are the right shape, meaning that they're equally thick all the way around. There's no part of it that's thicker than other parts. Well, the 2s are also supposed to be like that. And this one looked like it might have had just a little bit of extra thickness right there and a little bit of extra thickness up here. And same here, I thought I saw maybe just a little bit of extra thickness, but as I turn it around and look at it, I realize that that's just shadowing. And generally, almost always, isn't that an interesting concept? Generally, almost always, if you're going to have the extra thickness in the date, you're also going to have it at least in the TY of Liberty, and this has none. This is completely normal. I'm sorry. Thanks for answering, Coin Hunter. I'll go through that here in just a moment after I get myself settled down from what I thought might have been a double die. I get kind of excited about this stuff. How you get into the coin rolls. Well, the way you get into these coin rolls is to show up at the auctions on Tuesday evening. Tuesday evening. Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Time is when the auction starts. Usually around 10 o'clock Eastern Time, p.m., is when we get into the reveals. That's toward the end of the auction. And I will basically hypothetically demonstrate right now how we go through a reveal. So we've got a 2020 roll. And let's say that I've got, I probably end up with 20 or 21 spots free. So I say I've got 21 spots free. And then I type out the title of what the roll is. And then I type go now. And then I will tell you, we're going to do a shotgun start on this. And I need you to tell me how many you want. Generally, people use the initials BIN, B-I-N, for buy it now. And they will say bin 3, and 3 is the maximum number I allow people in these rolls. So they'll say bin 3 and wait for me to do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And as soon as I say go and enter that title into the screen, you guys can start putting your bins in. And then for the 21 spots I have remaining after all of the subscribers are taken care of, I count down from the top of the bins on my screen. There you go, bin max. And as I go down, this just confuses me because they're actually sunken letters, so it looks like my light's coming from the opposite direction. So you can see the light here on the tops of the letters. And that's what I'm used to looking at, but here the light's on the bottom of the letters. And then I will say, like who gets how many in the roll, and I'll fill out my sheet to know how to send the invoices out on those as I'm going along. Now, if you want to be hardcore about this and you want to get into every single reveal I do, you can do that. There's a waiting list right now, but going down the waiting list, there's a die crack on that head. Actually, it's a spiked head die crack. Goes all the way up into the W. You can get on the waiting list now, which will probably dwindle down over time. But you can get on the waiting list by sending me an email and let me know that you would like to be on the waiting list. And that's cd@coppercoins.com. That's who I am, cd@coppercoins.com. And you send me a message. Let me know you'd like to get on the waiting list for the spots, for the subscription for the spots on the reveals. And I'll get you on the waiting list. And the waiting list will be for a number of spots that you want for the entire month. That's correct. You subscribe to the spot, you're subscribing to an entire month worth of reveals. You subscribe to one spot, it's $100, and you get one coin out of every single roll. I do guaranteed. You don't have to fight for them. You don't have to get into a bidding war or anything else. You're already guaranteed those spots, and you don't have to do anything else. You will automatically get one coin from every single reveal that month. If you want 2 spots, it's 200, and 3 spots would be 300. If you do any spots on subscription, that reduces the number of spots that you have to fight for to get 3, the maximum per person, in each of the reveals. If you subscribe to 3 spots, you can't get any spots during the auctions because you've already had all 3 of yours guaranteed to you. And if you only subscribe to 1 spot, if you would like, you can show up at the reveal sales at the end of the auction on Tuesday night, and you can buy up to 2 spots during the auction. To what Malcolm chose to do this time around, he has subscribed to 2 spots, and he comes in and buys 1 more, so he gets his full 3 spots per reveal. Deanne has done the same thing. Subscribes to 1 or 2 spots and then comes and buys the remainder of the ones she actually wanted to be involved in to begin with. But that 1 spot guarantee gets you into every single reveal for the month. And so that is how that works. Now, in order to be able to get involved in that, you have to register with us first. If you're not already registered, you have to send an email message to coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. Give me your actual name, then your YouTube screen name so I can pair the 2 together if they indeed are different. And then I will need the email address that you use to make PayPal payments. PayPal is the payment method of choice. I send all of the invoices through PayPal. If you choose to make payment using a different method, you can get a hold of me and make a payment using a different method, and I can pair your payment to the PayPal invoice. But PayPal invoicing is what I use. You get it in email. You can see it. You can see how much you owe. And then you can contact me and let me know, hey, I want to use Zelle, or I want to use, Messenger Pay or something like that, and we will arrange it from there. I do prefer online payment methods. I do not prefer receiving cash or checks. And carrier pigeon may be unreliable. Never know, but it may be unreliable. I would not necessarily count on that method. Here's number 14, Mr. McBride. And as we're going through all these and I'm talking with you, I am looking for double dies, and I'm not finding anything yet. Wouldn't necessarily expect anything. I'm just kind of trying to get us involved in some of the new double dies, maybe get something listed. Number 15 from Mike Birchman. Might help us a little bit. Reposition my lighting. Bring it up a little higher so you can see the thickness of the devices a little more easily. Device is a term given to all the letters and numbers and pictures on coins. So a device is anything that they have carved into the die or carved into the initial plaster as a part of the design of a coin. So we call all the letters, all the numbers, the head, and everything else, they're all different devices. We're looking for doubling on devices, and that makes double dies, I'm sorry. I don't need to do anything with you right now, thank you. It'll pop up on my screen. Hello, Penny Saver Cash, Roy Johnson. Nothing there. So it got on the other side here. Nothing there. Carrier pigeons are extinct. I wasn't aware of that, but now that I think of it, I haven't seen anyone using carrier pigeons in a long time. So the only kind of pigeons we have now are the useless ones that poop all over you? Is that what we're saying? There was a guy in my VFW post in Florida who raised pigeons. And evidently they have pigeon shows just like we have coin shows, and they're pretty serious about it. Jeff Dunn comes up next. I've had some people try to claim that you can find doubling inside the middle of the shield and call that hub doubling. I've seen a couple of examples that kind of look like the doubled columns, and they're kind of convincing as minor doubled dies, but they're not anything that I would think anybody would have any serious interest in is, yo man, all I'm really looking for on these newer coins is relatively nice extra thickness. It actually has to be something that's a little more obvious than the minor stuff. Turned out with a bit of a spotty roll here. That's why I'm flipping through these a little bit faster. Primarily because, well, you're going to be able to tell if you see a double die that looks like the double dies I'm looking for. These are not the double dies you're looking for. Move along. Let's see here. What do I have sitting here? Nope, that's not the right stack. I thought maybe I had... Nope, not the right stack. Okay. They're probably over in the book where they belong. I have some newer double dies. I'll get one out here in a second and I'll show you guys what a double die looks like on these newer coins. Interesting. Okay. That's for Mike. Mr. Birchman. Hang on just a second. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, that was an interesting little trip I took, just to show myself that I am even less organized than I thought I was. Hang on, let me see if this is it. Okay, I found it. Got a little stack of double dies here that I can show you what one of the more minor double dies looks like, or what one of the more modern double dies looks like. Here is a 2013 Philadelphia Lincoln cent. Now this is normal on this side, okay, but if we flip it over and we take a look at the other side on the reverse, if you look here, your LB initials are way stretched out of proportion. They're way wider than they should be. Your JFM initials are way wider than they should be. They're thicker, you know. And see, all of your serifs down here are extra thick. They're only supposed to be pointed. They're not supposed to be blocked off like this. Okay, and that's a stretching of the design. Much more stretching going on all the way through the design. It just looks like it's out of proportion. It just doesn't look right. Okay, that is 2013 P1DR002. Now here is a 2014. This one is a double die obverse. I'll show you what I mean about the thickness and the date and everything on the obverse. This is 2014 here. That's a double die obverse right there. Shows a lot of extra thickness in the date. It's just extra wide. Basically, the entire date is supposed to be as thick as the bottom of the 2 is right here. But it just got stretched out east and west. Real bad. And then if you look up here, you can see it in the motto as well. Everything's just way stretched out of proportion. Now you get over here, the L and the I and the B of Liberty are pretty much normal, but by the time you get over to the Y, it's also very stretched out. And if you know the design around the hair and the face, you can also see extra thickness there, but that's not something you're really going to notice unless you really know what you're doing. But that date, that's something that anybody can notice. And that's a nice double die. And that's kind of what we're looking for on these 2020 coins. It's possible to find them. Never know. There could be new ones. I mean, all of these were new at one point in time. Alright, these are all shield cent double dies. They're all nice ones. They're also all plate coins. That's what I wanted to show you. Anyhow, back on. Coin number 21, McBride, who doesn't get into shield die variety, so if this one's a double die, I'll just keep it. Thanks, Mac. Alright, that one has nothing on the obverse. The mintage on these coins is far higher than mintage on a lot of the memorial coins, especially on the wheat coins. And given that mintage is higher, but die life is not necessarily higher, it requires a lot more dies to mint all of the coins of a given issue. Given that it takes a lot more dies to mint all of the coins of a given issue, a single double die represents a far lower percentage of the overall mintage of the coins. Given that, any single double die is a little more difficult to find than they used to be. And since a number of the listed double dies for this particular series are kind of minor, a lot of people don't really want to dive in head first into a bunch of rolls of shield cents to take the 1 in 1,000 chance that they're going to get to find a double die that's actually worth $10 or more. Which your odds are kind of small, really, overall. But your odds are actually nil if you don't look. Most popular shield DDO is probably going to be a 2014. There's a 2014 with a really wide separation on the obverse. I don't remember the die number right off, but I think it's DDO 1. No, we're not huge fans. Okay, yeah, we're not huge fans. But in another 15 years, when you've got nothing to look through because they've gotten rid of all of our coins altogether, shield cents will become more attractive. They're just unattractive to a lot of people now because, well, that's current change. That's pocket change. I want to see older collectible coins, right? Well, 25 years from now, people want to see older collectible coins like shield cents. Nice die gouge there. We go heavy die gouge. Notice something else on one of these dies. If I run into it again, I'll make mention of it. That's just to remind myself. Hey, make mention of that when you see it again. If you see it again. And if not, I'll have to go back through all the coins just to find it. And this is it right here. That first space in the shield right there seems to be a lot higher up on the banner than all the other ones. All these have a nice dividing line, and then this, no dividing line. It's kind of weird. Let's see if I notice that on others. I don't know the design all that well because, well, I do have to admit that I don't look at these very often. So I'm just as guilty as anyone else. But it's stuff I want to make sure that we notice one way or the other. At least we'll know it's normal or we'll know it's not. after we finish this roll. That's going to be something that you're going to, that's today's takeaway. Whether or not it's normal that first bar on the shield has a bottom. You'll see here, it sort of kind of does and it sort of kind of doesn't. So it's not really an answer. It's kind of an answer of a non-answer, which is very common when you're trying to look up things with coins and try to figure things out with coins. Here's Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher comes up next. It is a normal obverse. And let's see what we have on this side. Yeah, okay, so we're probably normal to have that first stripe, that first full stripe in the shield basically has no bottom, and that seems to be normal. Slightly extra wide initials there, nothing there, and nothing up here. Everything here looks normal. (2011) P number 4. Let's see if I have that one here or not. Yeah. 2011 P1DO004. I have it right here. There it is. That's 2011 P1DO004. It's extra thick. You can see that the misshapen letters are very obvious on this. You can see the misshapen letters, even the U of trust, how misshapen that is. Hello, MTN Vaults. And then your Liberty is also way out of balance. Looks like it's going to tip over. But that's 2011 Philadelphia 1DO004. Not common. Actually rather difficult to locate. But it has proven to help in the sales of 2011 Philadelphia rolls over time. Because, well, people want to find it. They're out there. You just have to pick the right rolls. All right. Let's see. Well, it makes my work a lot easier on these not to find anything, but it really isn't the way I want to go. I would rather be very busy, or at least have Eric be really busy, with a number of different dies that we're finding on this stuff to try to progress in our knowledge of the die varieties of Lincoln Cents, rather than just having easy work. I think I'll narrate a TV show about that. The successes of die variety hunting in Lincoln Cents. It's a oddly worn die. There's a bunch of pickles and pecks and stuff in it. That may actually be not on the die, but on the coin. Maybe an improperly plated planchet. Improperly plated planchet. Like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's a peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Yeah, it's not rocket science work, but I tell you what, it sure is tedious at times. Very tedious. Especially when you're going through a 1949S roll that has 15 different RPMs in it. That becomes, well, very tedious. Pickled Peppa Pig. Pickled peppers. I like pickled peppers. I have never heard of anyone picking pickled peppers, though. Pickled peppers have to be cooked pickled or soaked pickled. I've never heard of them picked pickled. Am I a Shield scent fan? No. I kind of like the double dyes that come out of them, but anything else, I do like how the obverse design was cleaned up again. It doesn't have spaghetti hair and all that stuff. I mean, the design itself looks a little bit closer to what Brenner would have authorized as a copy of his artwork. I think the stuff that we've been doing over the past 20 years is just garbage when it comes to the design itself, the artistic merit of the design. I'm not a big fan of the lack of detail on the Shield design, but they're not after detail anymore. What they want is something recognizable that's utilitarian, allows dyes to last a long time, that they can get a whole bunch of strikes out of on a single squeeze technique dye and manage to put something out that looks somewhat representative of what's supposed to be the richest country in the world. That's a mighty strange looking gouge there. That's definitely a dye gouge. That's interesting. Thought you got something pretty there, Deanne. All right, coin number 33. Coin number 33 for Adam Chambers. I will probably, just for the heck of it, if my wife doesn't have anything planned for me this afternoon, I will probably end up doing a roll dig or two this evening. I'll just be aware that I might be coming back on later on this evening sometime. I do have one more reveal coming up prior to my taking off for the day, if that should be the case. Just depends on what my wife has planned for me, but the other reveal that I have planned directly after this one will be a 1957D roll. 1957D. 57D is very interesting. 57D is the only one that has class 4 double dyes that show primarily, see, here's that dye gouge again. So it is in the dye. It's not part of the coins, it's part of the dye that made the coins. It's the only one that has the class 4 double dyes in the word Liberty through the late 50s. And you've got 8 or 10 different double dyes there that are represented by basically the same type of doubling. And there's not a single one in 1955 or 1956 or 1958. They're all 1957. Exactly how and why that happens, I do not know. All I know is that it definitely did. It's a relatively clean looking coin for a 2020 anyhow. And that one was for Wanda. Here's Orig. Looks like we're going to end up getting skunked on this particular roll. There's the same die again. If I do any of the roll digs, they're going to come sometime after 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll be after 8 p.m. Eastern. Could be as late as 11 p.m. Eastern. Which depends on exactly where I end up for the day, what I end up doing for the day. They don't come as necessarily scheduled long term anyway. I schedule them up to an hour before I do them. Bill Crusson, his name in here upside down, coin number 38. And coin number 38 looks just like this. That 1960 D-roll yesterday was exciting. Came out with at least 7 different RPMs in half of the coins in the roll. Actually, over half, I believe. That was nice. Well, Spiked Head Die Crack, the best I can tell you with regard to keeping your collecting interest alive is if you feel yourself burning out, do take a break. Or just slow down, or shift gears. Do something a little bit different. Do something you haven't done lately. I have so many things going on all the time. I rarely have time to slow down and actually just do what Chuck wants. Usually doing what a lot of other people want, which is fine. I mean, that's part of my business. But just to do what Chuck wants. Sometimes that's just to sit down with a roll and do a roll dig. Sit down with a stack of rolls and just go through a stack of rolls looking for anything. And I may do that. I may just pick a bunch of tubes of coins and just dig through them. See what's in there. Kind of like what I'm doing here. In fact, I've got a bunch of rolls sitting on my floor across the room that need to be dealt with. They're all marked as being in the post-2010 era, which would mean that they're pretty much all shields. Might dig through those this evening. Wow. Nice MTN. Here's Malcolm coin number 42. Number 42. Doesn't matter if we look at the obverse or the reverse first. So we're not finding anything on them anyway. Obverse, reverse doesn't make any difference, I guess. But we're looking through the obverse and reverse on every coin, and the reason for that is we don't want to miss any discoveries. It's a brand new roll of coins. Well, it's a year old. But given it's nearly a brand new roll of coins, we don't have any good idea yet what is really in these. So this is why we look. Trying to find out. You want information? Evidence-based information? Get the evidence, right? Don't have it? Go find it. That's the still that die gouge right there. It's still a nice die gouge. It's this right up against the edge of the shield, but also this down here is a part of it. They're related. And this thing on the inside of the O, they're all related. You can find all of them on the same coins. Hey, Brandon. You have an interesting offer if anyone wants. Sometime down in Hawaii. Recently purchased a property as an investment, but did not know got to pay taxes on investment. So until I come up with the money, I have an extra house my friends can come visit and stay at. Oh, that's awesome. Here's my biggest issue. Getting to Hawaii means you have to either fly across an ocean or sail across an ocean, and I'm not a big fan of either. All right, coin number 44, going to Eric Beyer now. But if there comes a time where flights are actually inexpensive enough and rental car is actually inexpensive enough, I may have interest in going to Hawaii just so that I can say I've been to all 50 states. As Hawaii is the only one of the 50 I have not been to. See, there's another interesting die gouge, I believe. That could be a hit. That's a hit. Not used to seeing hits go underneath lettering because I'm not used to seeing the NQ's lettering. That was a hit on the coin, though. COVID restrictions are a pain. I can imagine that. I don't know that I'd plan on traveling much of anywhere for the next, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year. Just to be sure all this stuff can clean out and get out of the system. I don't know who's gaining from the whole COVID thing. I have no idea. Somebody is, but I don't know who. Don't know who or why. But not really going to get into the politics of discussing COVID itself. I do believe it is a real illness. I do not believe it's being managed properly. I do believe the vaccines work to the extent the vaccines are supposed to work. It's not going to prevent you from catching the illness. It's going to prevent you from having a serious case should you catch it. That was the whole promise all along. Had nothing to do with you can't catch it if you had the virus or if you had the vaccine. I still don't know who's gaining from all that, but I know somebody is because a lot of what they're telling us doesn't make any sense. All right, here's coin number 47 for Mr. Marshall. You got 4 coins left. This is the first of those 4 coins. And again, we don't seem to have any thickness here. We will be checking 2020 rolls from time to time. 2020 and 2021. It's the only way that we're going to know for sure whether we're going to be able to find any double dice is to actually look for them, right? Why let everybody else find them? We may as well go through some rolls too. Here's number 48. This one's for Eric. Well, the fact that we are getting vaccinations for free from the government tells me that the government is giving a lot of our tax money to somebody to manufacture and or distribute these vaccines. And exactly why that's occurring, I don't know. But the idea that they are free is a total fallacy. You're not paying for them out of pocket right now, but you are paying for them at tax time. I mean, there is no CEO of a pharmaceutical company that's so philanthropic that they decide to take something that was just developed through time, use testing, and case and scenarios and everything else, that they would be willing to put that out at zero profit. It's just, I don't believe that at all. So your tax dollars in one way or another are working toward paying for these vaccines. Here's another circle of death for you. This is the other end of the roll. It's coin number 50 for John Brandon Bow. That's going to do it for this particular roll, folks. But I will be back within 10 minutes to start the next one. And the next one will be a 1957 D roll. Once again, another one that is not known for double die reverses. However, double die obverses and RPMs tend to be fun to find and relatively common. And there we go. 50 coins. All 50 of them tend to appear to be normal coins. We'll get these out to you with all the other reveals this week. I appreciate it, folks, and I will be back in 5 to 10 minutes. I appreciate it, folks. Have a good one.